When your kids start fighting, you probably jump in to figure out who started it, or who's right, or who needs to apologize first. But what you might not realize is this: the moment you pick a winner, you're actually setting the stage for the next fight. And today, I want to show you the one rule that stops that cycle instantly. You hear yelling from the other room, over a toy, a seat at the table, a turn with the controller. Maybe it's about who gets the last snack, or whose turn it is to pick the show. And in that moment, your instinct is clear: get in there and settle it. I know this is exhausting. You're juggling work, meals, appointments, and the constant emotional weather of managing your kids. The last thing you need is constant sibling battles playing out in your living room. Here's what I want you to know first: you're not doing anything wrong. Research into parent-child conflict shows this is how the vast majority of parents respond. You step in, you listen to both sides. You figure out who's right and who's wrong. You make a call, you settle it, and most of the time, it works. The kids stop fighting. Calm is restored. But here's the thing: when you decide who's right and who's wrong, you accidentally create a winner and a loser. And that loser, they feel unseen. They feel like their side of the story didn't matter. Like they lost not just the argument, but something deeper: their safety, their worth in that moment. Meanwhile, the winner learns something too. They learn that escalation works, that yelling louder and pushing harder pays off. Their brain gets a hit of dopamine, the reward chemical, when they win. And because aggression works sometimes, their brain learns to try it every time. It's the same psychology that keeps us checking our phones for notifications. They are literally being trained to fight harder. So what happens next? The loser waits. And they come back, sometimes immediately, sometimes later that day, and they fight harder. Because now it's not just about the toy or the turn. Now it's about proving they're not the loser. This is how fights become a pattern. This is how resentment builds. And this is why you feel like you're managing the same conflict over and over and over again. Here's what's actually happening in your child's brain during these moments. Your kids are still developing. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that handles logic, fairness, and long-term thinking, is still under construction. It won't be fully wired until they're in their mid-20s. What is fully running the show? Their amygdala, the threat center. The part of the brain that asks one simple question: am I safe? Do I belong here? When a sibling conflict starts, your child doesn't think about fairness the way you do. They don't think, okay, I'll lose this round and win the next one. Instead, their brain interprets the fight as a threat to something much deeper. A threat to their power, their safety, their place in the family. You think they're fighting over the toy, but they're actually fighting over status. And here's why that makes sense. For most of human history, your place in the social hierarchy determined whether you survived. Higher status meant access to resources, protection, and belonging. Lower status meant vulnerability. So our brains are wired to be exquisitely sensitive to losing social position. Here's an adult analogy that might make this click. Imagine you and a coworker have a disagreement at work. Your boss steps in, listens to both sides, and then decides your coworker is right and you're wrong. You go home that day feeling diminished, a little angry, and the next time there's a situation with that coworker, you're more defensive. You're more likely to fight harder to protect your reputation. Now imagine that happening 5, 10, 15 times a week in your own home, with your sibling, the person you're supposed to trust most. Your kids are doing the same thing. And here's the crucial part. As long as winning is possible, escalation makes sense. Developmental research shows that if children believe pushing harder, yelling louder, or fighting dirtier could get them the win, they'll keep trying. Remove the possibility of winning, and something shifts. The no-loser rule is simple. If one child loses, nobody wins. Now, I want to be clear about what this is not. It's not permissive parenting. It's not letting conflict go unmanaged. It's not forcing them to share or pretend everything's fine. And it's not avoiding accountability. It's a framework, a way of approaching conflict that removes the incentive to escalate. Here's why it changes everything. First, it removes the incentive to escalate. If winning is off the table, fighting harder stops making sense. Your kids' brains can finally relax. The threat is gone. Second, it shifts your role as a parent. You're no longer the judge deciding who is right. You're the guide helping both kids find a solution that works for both of them. That's a completely different dynamic. Third, it creates emotional safety. Your kids learn that they can have conflict without losing their place, without losing you, without losing their identity as a valued member of the family. That changes everything about how they approach problems. So, how do you actually do this? Step 1. Pause the conflict. When you hear fighting, go in calmly. Don't come in hot. Don't come in trying to understand who did what. Come in with one message. I'm not choosing sides. This problem has to work for both of you. Step 2. State the boundary clearly. Now, a quick safety note. This applies to arguments over things or turns. If one child hits the other, you stop the aggression immediately for safety. But for the dispute itself, the rule stands say, if someone loses, the activity pauses. The toy gets put away until we figure this out. Notice I said until. This isn't a punishment. It's a natural consequence, like a car. That won't start until everyone is buckled up. It's a pause to reset. Let me be honest, kids will test this. They'll expect you to eventually pick a winner anyway, because that's what's always happened. So, you need to mean it. Step 3. Invite collaboration. So how do we fix this so nobody loses? This is the question that changes the game. You're not solving it for them. You're asking them to solve it together. Now, if they're young, under 6, they might need help coming up with ideas. You can offer a menu, we can set a timer, take turns, or play something else. Which one works for both of you? And step 4, hold the line. This is the hardest part, because they will resist. They will argue, they will insist that they deserve to win. And your instinct will be to negotiate, to compromise your boundary, to just pick a winner and move on. Don't. Stay calm, stay neutral, repeat. That doesn't work. How do we solve this so nobody loses? This might take 5 minutes, it might take 20, but here's what happens. At some point, their brains shift from threat mode to problem-solving mode, and they find a solution you never would have thought of. Let me walk you through what this looks like in practice. Here's a common scenario we see. Take 2 kids, let's say they're 8 and 6, fighting over a gaming device for weeks. Every day, sometimes multiple times. The fights are escalating, the parent is exhausted, they reach a breaking point. When they implement the no-loser rule, here's what unfolds. They tell the kids, I'm not picking a winner, and if someone loses, the device goes away. The younger child says he doesn't care, he's going to win anyway. The older child starts crying because she feels like she never gets a real turn. The parent is ready to give up, but they hold the boundary and ask, how do we fix this so both of you feel good about it? There's a pause. And then the younger child says, what if we play together? Like, take turns controlling the same level. The older child agrees, yeah, and you can drive first. And suddenly, they're engaged, not fighting. They might not be thrilled instantly, but they are collaborating. And eventually, they're actually excited about playing together. This pattern, this shift from conflict to collaboration, is what happens consistently when the no-loser rule is applied. And that's the magic of the no-loser rule. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, and it's a really good question. What if one of my kids always gives in? Doesn't that just make them the loser anyway? This is completely normal to worry about, and yes, sometimes that happens at first. But here's what's different. They're not losing because you decided they lost. They're making a choice, and when you acknowledge that choice, make sure they actually feel okay with it first. Then say, I noticed you let Evan pick first to solve the problem. That was generous. You're showing them that conscious sacrifice isn't losing. It's a choice they made, and it has value. Over time, with repetition, they'll start to see themselves as a problem solver instead of someone who always loses. That identity shift is everything. What if they refuse to cooperate? What if they just keep fighting and won't find a solution? This is also completely normal. Then the activity stops. No exceptions. Not as punishment, as a boundary. We're not going to have anyone lose here, so we're putting this away until you're both ready to find a solution together. This feels harsh. It feels like you're being mean. But if you stay calm and empathetic while you do it, you aren't being mean. You're holding a boundary. You're protecting them from an outcome that hurts. And I promise you, once they experience the shift from fighting to solving a few times, they'll want to get to the solution faster next time. And here's the question I hear from almost every parent. Isn't this unrealistic? What about real life? Don't people sometimes lose? Yes, they do. But that's not what we're teaching right now. Right now, we're teaching them that conflict doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. That problems can be solved without creating damage. That disagreement doesn't have to mean losing each other. Once they have that foundation, once they've experienced safety in conflict, they'll eventually learn that not every situation works out perfectly. But they'll learn it from a place of security, not from a place of threat. You're still the authority here. You're still the parent, you're just not the judge. Here's the truth. Sibling fights aren't the problem. Winning is. Remove the possibility of a winner, and you remove the fuel from the fire. Your kids stop escalating because escalation no longer works. And in that space, in that calm, something else grows. Problem solving, emotional regulation, respect. The no loser rule doesn't just stop fights. It teaches your kids how to handle conflict for life. Because in real relationships, the people who thrive aren't the ones who win every argument. They're the ones who can stay connected while solving problems. Now, here's the part most parents miss. Even the no loser rule won't work if your child is already in full meltdown, and your nervous system is overwhelmed too. That's exactly what I show you in this video. The STOP method that calms meltdowns in 60 seconds, starting with what you do first. Watch that next. You've got this. And you're closer than you think.